Hey everyone, welcome back to Everything is Simlish. So today I'm going to be talking about some things that I would like to see change in the future as far as build mode items, roofing, and things like that. You know, the functionality of build mode and even the functionality of some gameplay features. So I'm just going to be featuring a few things that I think could use some improvements. And I just want to say as a disclaimer that I'm really grateful to the creators of The Sims for everything that they have improved. And, when they've created packs in the past, they've asked for their fans to interact with them to create better content. And I definitely appreciate that they're making an effort to incorporate our opinions into their decisions, which is why I'm making this video, just in the hopes that if enough of us voice our concerns and our suggestions and the things like that for The Sims 4, we can get what we want, because we've done it in the past and we can do it again. And I really love this game and would love it to just function as best as possible. So that's why I've made this video. Not to bash anybody, not to bash The Sims creators, but just to give my ideas on some things. So the first thing that came to mind when I started thinking about this video was roofing it causes a lot of issues for me. I have a really hard time working with the roofing feature of The Sims 4. I find it really difficult to make roofs do what I want them to do, quite simply. So as you can see here, I'm just building a deck with a rounded edge, and I'm trying to show you that there's no way to add a roof that really lines up with that deck. So as you can see, if you try to place a circle, you might be able to get the edge of that circle to line up with the edge of the deck, but then after you place that circle, you can only make it bigger or smaller in all directions. So there's really no way to make a seamless roof that, a kind of a hang over the deck that really lines up with the edges of the deck and looks really smooth and seamless. Furthermore, if you place a roof such as the one I'm placing here, and you want it to kind of just hang over the edge, as you can see, there's no way to delete that wall there. So you'll see in a moment, I'm trying to delete that and it says nothing to delete. So there's really no way to have a roof that has a strong overhang. You can sort of bypass that, as you can see if you drag those arrows there. It will come out a little bit of the way, but as you can see, it does not come out very far. It doesn't extend across the whole area of the deck. So it's kind of frustrating because you can't even make it longer than that, and you can't delete the walls that the roofs create. So it's just really frustrating if you're going for a certain kind of look. It's just really hard to get exactly what you have in mind with the way that roofing functions in The Sims 4. So I'm really hoping to see some sort of functionality improvements with roofing in the future. So hopefully they'll be releasing that at some point. Another thing that's annoying is you can't place roof tiles on a flat floor, because The Sims is reading it like that's a floor that's going to be a foundation for if you were to build a second story, for example. That floor is not considered a roof. So if you wanted a flat glass roof, you really can't just place glass anywhere you want. It has to be on a roofing, an actual roof. And as you can see, you can place a hipped roof on the top floor, or whatever floor you want to add it to. And you can make it flat, but even still it looks kind of clunky, it looks awkward, the edges don't really line up, and it's not just one solid pattern across the top. It still has that X through it, and it just doesn't really look that good, and it's still not totally flat. So it's just, it works, like you can work around it, but it would be better if you didn't have to. Another thing that really bothers me about The Sims is there's no functional shelving, really. If you want to place shelves that bend around a corner or a diagonal wall, you can't really do that because the back corner of the shelf will stick out the opposite side of the wall. So unless you can hide that with some kind of shelf or decor or something, it's just really frustrating to make shelving look exactly the way you want it and to make it bend around corners. So I think if they brought to the game some shelving that had functionality similar to the way counters function, with the auto counter option and you can turn auto counter off, and you can pick different sizes and things like that to really make them fit into the space that you've designed. I think if they brought something like that to the shelving part of the game and just really made a robust shelving function, I think that that would add a lot to the game for me. Another thing that's a bit frustrating is when I do my builds, I like to get super, super detailed and add a lot of clutter and decorations and things like that so that they really look like spaces that have been lived in and loved, and they look really welcoming and really full. So I like to put things on counters like little decorations and fruit bowls and spoons and things, and think about if I were in this kitchen, what are some things I would need? I would need knives, I would need paper towels and things like that. So one thing that really frustrates me is even if you use move objects and hold down the Alt key, you can't escape the snapping of many things. So this applies to counters. Even if you hold Alt down and you're using move objects, the objects still snap to certain places on the counter. So that's really frustrating because sometimes things will kind of intersect each other and look really weird, and there's really no way to fix it because these things only snap to certain places, so you just can't place them exactly where you want because of the way snapping works. So I just wish that you could choose to turn snapping on or off for certain things so that you had more control over that. This also applies with windows and curtains. So as you can see, I'm placing some windows, and I'm just trying to highlight the way that curtains work. Now this is more of a buy mode thing than a build mode, but it's kind of a little bit of both. So you can see that when I hold Alt down, I can move the curtain around on the wall space that doesn't have the windows. I can move it up and down, I can move it side to side without any problems. But as soon as I try to place the curtain on the window itself, it starts snapping. So I can't get it to line up perfectly every time. I can't unsnap this curtain so that I can place it exactly where I want it. And additionally, a lot of the curtains that are in the base game are really, really big or really, really ugly. Some of them are just way too big for any build that I would ever make, and they just look really strange. They don't look really modern. They don't look like curtains that you would see in a furniture store. They are just really lacking, so I would love to see some more curtain options added to the base game, and again, being able to turn off snapping to windows with curtains would be really, really useful. Another thing that I haven't really seen anybody talk about before, and I don't know if it's just me that struggles with it, but I have a lot of problems with scale when I'm building. So as you can see, I'm building this room, and to me that looks like, maybe that could be a living room or kitchen. I'm imagining each block as a square foot. But really it doesn't work like that, because as you can see, if I place this little side table in here, it looks so tiny. So if I were to actually keep this room and use that size for the living room and everything and design everything in there, it would look really, really big. And I have problems with that because I've built houses before that look good to me. They look like a good scale, and then you put the Sims in them and the Sims look like ants, and there's just like so much extra room because the scaling is really off. So I think just something as simple as adding, a Sim mannequin basically. So you could drag and drop in build mode, you could drag and drop Sims into the space to see what the scale is like and just have some sort of way to really understand the scale of your design. I think that would be really helpful because I often build things just way too big. You have to go into live mode and actually move a sim into your build and bring them into the house to test the functionality of everything, which is really frustrating because if you use the move objects cheat to get everything to look flawless and look the way you want it, there is always the chance that your sim's not going to be able to interact with an object. So I think it would be really helpful if we could just have a random sim be able to go in when we're building in build mode and be able to test the functionality of different objects, see if things work, see if sims can interact with them without having to go through the lengthy process of creating a sim and moving the sim into the house and yada yada yada. It's really frustrating as a builder. You kind of just want to stay in build mode. So I think if there was a way to test the functionality of options of your design and everything without having to go into live mode, that would be really useful. Now, another thing that really bothers me is the way transportation works in The Sims 4 because they got rid of the open world concept that The Sims 3 has. So as you can see, I'm trying to bring these Sims from their house to the restaurant directly across the street, and they can't walk or drive because there are no functional cars in The Sims. You have to click it to travel to it and then sit through multiple loading screens while they travel to the restaurant. So I really don't like that that's how they decided to do transportation in The Sims 4. Now, I understand that they've done this because of performance issues, but I think I have more performance issues with the transportation mechanism in The Sims 4 than I did in The Sims 3 because it just takes so long to sit through all these loading screens to go from place to place that it's really not solving any performance issues. It's just causing them, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the game because you don't want to bring your Sims out anywhere if you're going to have to sit through all these loading screens and do all this stuff just for a night out, and it just takes so much time away, and it's just such a hassle. So I really wish that they would change that. And on top of that, I don't like how all the neighborhoods are all separated and they only have a limited amount of lots, that there's really no flexibility in, like there was in The Sims 3, how you could create different lots and put them in different places in each world, and there was just a flow to everything. And in The Sims 4, it's really just chopped up and it does not function well for me as a builder. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below, and don't forget to check out my 2 previous builds. One of them is called Lush Cabana, and it's just a really green, a lovely little home, and then the other one is called Getaway on Willow Pond, which I just posted yesterday, and that one is this cute little house that I built a whole pond for it, and it's just really a lovely little couple's getaway, so definitely go ahead and check those out. And thanks for watching.